Welcome to the garden. This is Joe with Youngblood Family Farm. Come along and pick tomatoes with me today. So today is Labor Day, and this time of year on the farm we pick tomatoes. Now I have a special technique in picking tomatoes, and it's pretty funny for people to come by and see me doing this. But I call it the tomato crawl. If we look down my row here, we could walk right down the row, and you see that a lot of tomatoes drop. And if you're a gardener and you grow tomatoes, you probably have had to pick up these tomatoes and then you set them on a shelf, or you set them in a lug and you let them ripen up. This requires a lot of bending over. You know, I'm 6'3", and regardless if you have a limber body or a stiffer body, bending over is not a lot of fun, especially when you're doing it. You know, you're doing it over and over and over. And so what I like to do is I like to just crawl up and down the rows, and I'll get you right down there and you can see the viewpoint. And as I'm crawling down the row, I can pick up the tomatoes and I can stick them in my bucket and continue on. And it is a lot easier once the tomatoes have dropped their leaves, but when they're fully leaved, it's hard to see where those ripe tomatoes are unless you're really down low. So I choose to crawl. So most of this little clip is just going to be me picking tomatoes. So I hope you enjoy. Well, there is today's picking. Now what you will notice is that some of these have a few days to go. Now some of them I picked up off the floor, and if you don't and you have a rain, they'll be full of slugs. And some of these are probably just a couple days from processing. Now, things that I have learned with tomatoes, and this definitely will change depending on where you're at. I know down south, some of you guys are you're done with tomatoes by now. Michigan, you know, I grow pretty much Romas. We do a lot of sauce, and the missus is inside doing salsa today, and so issues that we deal with. One year I lost an entire crop, and back then the entire crop might have been 20 plants. I lost an entire crop to a fire blight in 2 nights. Beautiful crop, and it came in one day, the leaves were gone, the next day everything was white and rotten. And so if they need to ripen for 2 or 3 days, I'm okay with it. That way I know that my crop's secure ready to be processed. Another thing is, you know, they're calling for rain in the next few days. Well, we get an inch or so of rain and they're starting to ripen up, they'll burst. Then they'll be no good either. We fought slugs early in the season. Sometimes we get those big flocks of birds over top. I get nervous around them. And so that's why I pick with a few days to ripen. And I will now take you over to where we store them for ripening. So my storage, I just basically store them in the garage, an old folding table. And I've got several lugs. This is today's picking, and basically a couple days of picking usually goes together. And they're not in order. It makes sense if they're in order, but you'd constantly have to change the lugs. So I go off of color. This lug here is going to be ready in probably a day or so. And as you can see, these are just old blueberry lugs. They're in the old barn when we bought the place, and we kept them after we took the old barn down. And so these will go next, and then these, and then these, and we'll probably put another day's picking on top of this here. Yeah, there's some green ones. So thanks for joining me today. I hope your harvest is going well, and enjoy your bounty this winter. Bye now.